now that we're out, like I just came from a 4-day party for my friend's 50th birthday. And it was great. Every meal, I was meeting new people, having different conversations. We were out in nature. We swam in that freezing cold Lake Tahoe. It was awesome. So I just keep that Cyndi Lauper song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh, yeah.
Sign me up.
What is the next step for you? You've been an author and you've worked with some amazing authors. You are an accomplished public speaker and you've got this energy and this vitality for life. What's next for you? What's on the horizon?
I'm not 100% sure because I'm sort of in this liminal state of like waiting to see what's next. I mean, the thing I'm most excited about right now is creating a Facebook group for Queenagers. It's not up yet. I'm just sort of designing it in my head where I can have a daily conversation because I want to ask other Queenagers, what are you doing for fun? What's on your bucket list? What adventures are you doing? What are you reading? I'm a voracious reader. I love books. I live for books. My husband's totally into live music. We go to concerts. Last week, I went with one of my girlfriends to see Ellen DeGeneres. She's out on the road doing stand-up again.
Yeah.
We've got tickets to see Jerry Seinfeld in a couple of months, having fun. And also, given that the stock market's doing so well, I'm having fun watching that. I don't know much about it. I just like to look at the bottom line.
Yeah.
I made this amount of money today. It's like, ooh, that's so exciting. So.
Is there a different feeling, vibe for men versus women in this Queenager conversation?
I don't know because I'm so new to the conversation. I only did the TED Talk less than 2 months ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
I only discovered the word a few months before that. The word was coined by a woman named Eleanor Mills in the UK. And she's mostly advocating for like getting rid of ageism in the workplace.
Yeah.
And I'm mostly advocating fun and not working too much or working smarter. So it's a new conversation that I'm just exploring for my own personal use, and then I want to share what works for me, and so what works for me won't be for everybody. I have friends that are older than me that are now raising grandchildren.
Yes.
And this was not their plan for their retirement.
No.
But circumstances happened and kids needed a home or they were going to go to foster care. So I have a couple of friends that are dealing with that. But yeah, I think here's what I tell everybody who's younger than me. If you want to travel, do it right now. Don't wait, because when you get to be my age, there's knees and hips to consider. You can't be hanging out in Cinque Terre, Italy at a certain age. You can't be, going to the Amalfi Coast or to Santorini at a certain age and expect to be going 90-degree vertical up the hill. So do the traveling now. And fortunately, we've done a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
But now that's like a new consideration wherever we're going somewhere. Well, how many stairs are there?
Well, hiking the pyramids in Mexico that I did when I was age 10 will be different when I hike them later on in my age of life. Age 10, I was like climbing those stairs like nothing.
Sure.
Those are big steps.
And they're steep and they're narrow and there's no rails.
There's no rails on those
There's
pyramids.
no rails.
Doing it now would be a whole different way of doing it. I'm absolutely sure of that.
Now I never really understand why cruise ships were filled with people with gray hair. And now I understand. You only unpack once, right? If you need a wheelchair, everything's wide enough. Like they're very accommodating and accessible in new ways. But we already cruised a lot when we were earlier, so we probably won't do that anymore. But yeah, I think if you want to have adventures, do the really, hardcore physical ones early on.
Yes. You mentioned something about the grandparents and raising children. I'm really curious because there's a boomerang generation that's happening where the kids have been raised, but financially not making it. They all move home together. Now you have your child, you have a grandchild. But there is something about watching grandparents get on the floor and play with their grandkids and the Legos. And they have more fun than they would ever normally have if they didn't have that relationship. Does that play into this too? That they're
Yeah,
practicing being
I met
playful and free?
I met this woman at the gym named Kristen. Oh, I can't think of her last name right now, but she has a huge following on Instagram on being an active, fit grandparent. So
Yeah.
she shows herself sitting on the floor with an infant child in her arms. And how do you stand up when you're holding a 20-pound baby? You know, and so she does these exercises that prepare you to be a fit grandparent.
Well, again, you got amazing stuff going on. We're going to bring up your website here. Now, when they scan the QR code, and please scan the QR code, what are they going to find your website? What are they going to learn about you?
Okay, so there's a couple things on there. So if you're single and you want to find love, I have a free online dating guide that you can download. Or if you want to find out what kind of queenager you are, there's a super fun quiz. And both of these things will get you onto my newsletter list. Every Tuesday, I send out a newsletter that have tips on finding love, keeping love, being love, having more fun, and whatever else I feel like talking about. But I'm sending out newsletter tomorrow. That's number 716. I've been doing this
Whoa.
quite a while.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's lots of information. And at the top of the website, there's a little tab that says free stuff. It has a drop down menu, lots of free stuff. I don't really sell anything on my website, but it also lists all my books. I've written 12 books, including a novel called The Love Thief. It's a romantic spiritual thriller.
Wow.
And I've got a producer who's developing it as a streaming series later on. So there's lots of stuff there.
Go check out the website, hit the QR code. You want to learn more and just dive deeper into it. I would like to connect the dots between love. You have spent a lot of your career talking about love, romance, relationship. In this queenager space that you're now delving deeper into, it's never too late to fall in love, right?
Never too late, but it's different because the state of being in love, as most people understand it, is actually nature's greatest drug high. It's your brain on drugs. It's your brain on adrenaline, oxytocin, serotonin. What's that bonding hormone? I can't think of the name of it right now. Anyway, it's great drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But it has nothing to do with what real love is all about.
Right.
Real, because it happens with a stranger. You're having this great experience with a stranger, and then it wears off. Usually between 6 months and 3 years, it wears off and pretty much never comes back. But what comes out of it is actually better. A real adult, mature love where you're deeply bonded and devoted to another person's happiness and they're devoted to yours. However, you really want to choose wisely. So you could fall in love with somebody, but spend a year or two getting to know them to make sure you share the same values and you have the same picture of what life is going to look like, because they know what makes relationship work. It's been studied extensively. And most people think love is a feeling. And that's the biggest mistake of all. Love does have good feelings to it, but love essentially is a behavior. Love's a choice, it's an action, it's a way of being. And there will be days, for anybody who's been connected to a partner for any length of time, there will be days when you hate your partner, and it doesn't mean that you don't love them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're allowed to go to our own rooms.
Yeah. Oh, no. And listen, when it gets nasty, take a time out.
Yeah.
No. And whatever you do, don't fight late at night. These people, should never go to bed angry. It's much better to go to bed angry and have a conversation in the morning, because when you're tired and exhausted and plugged in, you're not going to hash it out at 1 a.m. It's not going to happen. So maybe go to another room, but go to sleep. And then the next morning, I'm gonna give you one really great tip from my book, Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. If you're really pissed off at your partner, when you wake up in the morning, in a very nice tone of voice is critical, say, you know what? I have a problem I'd really like your help with. Do you have 10 minutes sometime today where we could just talk? And they're going to say, oh, no, tell me now. Do not tell them now. Just like 10 o'clock. So your husband might say, oh, I'm going to get home, work early. Do you want to go for a short walk at 4? Yeah, 10 o'clock's fine. So you go for the walk, and while you're walking, you say to your partner, I know how much you love me, and I know that you would never consciously choose to hurt me. But when you said this or when you did that, I felt this. And you just give it really simply, and then you shut up. You do not say anything else. You let them respond, because most of the time they're going to be, oh my God, I'm so sorry, or oh, that's not what I meant, or whatever. And then you accept their apology and you forgive them, and you never speak of it again, ever. Okay? That's a mature way to have a happy marriage.
One of my favorite things about watching elder couples is when they are playful. I see them holding hands, sitting on the park bench. They're giving those little kisses, or they're walking down and someone plucks a flower out and gives it to the other one. I love seeing playful couples love each other, but do this queenager thing where they're still playful and fun, or teasing each other over dinner. I love being in a restaurant when I can hear them joking with each other. It's wonderful to see that there is still that playful nature in all of us, no matter how old we get.
And you can be intentional about it.
Yes.
Like Brian and I love to eat. So when we go out, it's like, oh my God, you got to taste this. And I'll put something on a fork and feed it to him. And I'm like, no, you got to taste this, and I'll feed him. Or he's a wine snob, and I like wine, but it gives me a headache. So, no, you have to have just a sip, smell it, have a little sip, and it's intentional. Like we want to be connected, because we see all the families where there's 6 people at the next table from 3 on up, and they're all on screens and they're not interacting. You're just like, what's the matter with you? What could be so important? Or what game is your kid playing? It's like, it's terrible.
Ariel, what's the biggest tip to give everyone today as we wind down Rock the Stage about being a queenager?
I would say that you want to put a little Post-it note on your mirror, and every day ask yourself, what queenager thing can I do today?
I love it. Ariel Ford, thanks for being with us here today on Rock the Stage Show.
Thanks, Rich.
Rock the Stage every Sunday night. Amazing conversations, discussions with people from all around the world. And we've got some more in-depth, very personal conversations like this coming up on Rock the Stage. You're going to want to be here. Remember, we're streaming on PPN, the Public Place Network, every Sunday night, and also on our YouTube channel. And on YouTube, you can join our live chat conversation during the show tonight. Hopefully you've been typing in, adding comments, giving emojis, sharing some love along the way. But we're every week, every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, back again for another edition of Rock the Stage. Thanks again to Ariel Ford for being our guest here tonight. We'll see you next week right here, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for another edition of Rock the Stage Show.
Rock the Stage Show. Each week, international media expert Rich Bontrigger has in-depth and personal conversations with celebrities, top